There's a moment you know too well. The bag is open, you promised yourself 3 chips. You've had 30. The salt is on your fingers, on your lips, and still you reach in for more. And somewhere underneath the crunch, a small voice asks, "What is wrong with me?" Here is the answer. Nothing is wrong with you. That craving is not a flaw in your willpower. It is a message, older than farming, older than the first loaf of bread, sent up from a body that spent 2 million years desperate for the one thing it could not build and could barely find: salt. For almost all of human history, salt was not a snack you spilled on the couch. It was survival. It was so rare that people walked for days to reach it, waged wars to control it, and traded it ounce for ounce against gold. And your body, sitting here in a world where salt is cheaper than water, still runs on the memory of that hunger. So the real question was never why you crave salt. The real question is why your ancestors would have looked at your open bag of chips and thought you were the richest, luckiest human who ever lived, and why that same luck, quietly, is turning against you. Stay with me, because the answer is hiding in your own blood. Start there. Inside you, right now, is a warm, salty sea. Your blood, your sweat, your tears, the fluid around every one of your cells, all of it carries salt in almost the exact concentration of an ancient ocean. That is not a poem, it is chemistry. Your nerves cannot fire without sodium. Your muscles cannot contract without it. Your heart cannot beat without sodium and its partner potassium, trading places across the walls of your cells millions of times a minute for your entire life. And here's the cruel part. Your body cannot make sodium. It cannot build it from anything. Every atom of salt inside you had to come from outside you, through your mouth. You are a sea that has to be constantly refilled from the world, and the world, for most of the human story, did not hand it over easily. Think about where that salt goes. Every time you sweat, it leaves. Every time you cry, it leaves. Every drop of blood, every illness, every hot day of walking drains a little of your inner ocean away. A body that loses too much sodium does not feel a bit tired. It falls. The muscles cramp, the mind goes foggy, the heart stumbles, and without more salt, it stops. Losing salt was not an inconvenience for your ancestors. It was a way to die. So evolution did something clever. It built the craving straight into you. Deep in your brainstem sits a set of cells whose only job is to watch the salt level of your blood. When it drops, they send up a signal that does not politely suggest you find some salt. It commands it. Researchers who study this call it sodium appetite, and it is one of the most powerful and specific hungers an animal can feel. A body low on salt will ignore sweet, ignore fat, and hunt only for that one sharp mineral taste. Hormones like aldosterone and angiotensin, the same chemicals that manage your blood pressure, turn the craving up until salt is all you can think about. You have seen this hunger in other animals, even if you did not know what you were watching. Deer and elephants and wild goats travel for miles to the same bare patches of ground year after year and lick the dirt. Those are salt licks, places where the earth itself carries the mineral. Butterflies drink the tears of turtles for it. Whole herds shape their migrations around it. The craving that pulls your hand into the chip bag is the same ancient engine that moves an elephant across a valley. You are not weak. You are following a map written before your species existed. Now picture one of them, one of your ancestors, far inland, generations away from the coast. She has never seen the sea. Her diet is roots, leaves, fruit, the occasional lucky hunt, and almost all of it is low in salt. Her body is quietly starving for the mineral in her blood, and it is telling her so with a craving she cannot name and cannot ignore. So when the hunt finally succeeds, watch what she does. She does not just eat the meat, she drinks the blood, warm and salty. She goes for the organs, the fluids, the parts a modern eater throws away, because those are where the sodium lives. In a world without a salt shaker, the body of another animal was a salt shaker. That craving turned her toward exactly the foods that kept her alive. And when there was no hunt, humans did something no other animal could. They went looking for salt itself. They followed animal trails to hidden springs. They scraped white crusts from dried lake beds. On coastlines, they learned to trap seawater in shallow pools and let the sun boil it down to crystal. Salt became the first thing humans mined, made, and hoarded on purpose, not because it was delicious, but because without it, you were already dying and did not know it. And here is where a mineral became money. Once people could gather salt, others wanted it, and anything everyone needs and few can find becomes power. Salt built roads across deserts and empires around them. Cities rose beside salt springs. Governments taxed it, and when they taxed it too hard, people revolted. Because you can survive a tax on luxury, but not a tax on the thing in your own blood. Our very word salary comes from the Latin for salt, and not in the language itself, tying the idea of being paid to the idea of this one white mineral. For thousands of years, salt was not seasoning. It was wealth. It was safety. It was, sometimes, the difference between a full village and an empty one. Now, here is the twist you did not see coming. Your body was built for that world, the world of scarcity, and it was built to win at it. Your kidneys are astonishing at holding on to salt. Give them a trace and they will guard it, recycle it, refuse to let it go, wringing every atom back into your blood. That is a genius design for an ancestor who might not taste salt again for weeks. But your kidneys have almost no talent for the opposite job. They were never asked to get rid of too much salt, because in 2 million years, that problem simply never came up. There was never too much. And so your body, this beautiful machine for surviving famine, has no real defense against a feast. Then, in the blink of an eye, the feast arrived. In just the last few generations, salt went from the rarest thing on your ancestors' table to the cheapest thing on yours. It is poured into your bread, your sauces, your cheese, your soup, your snacks, hidden in foods that do not even taste salty. Your ancient craving, the one that once sent you walking for days, now gets answered 100 times a day without you lifting more than a finger. And the body that was built to hoard salt keeps hoarding, keeps holding water to balance it, keeps pushing your blood pressure up, quietly straining a heart that was tuned for a world that no longer exists. That is the whole trap in one line. The very craving that kept your ancestors alive is the craving that, in a world of plenty, slowly wears you down. You are not broken. You are perfectly built for the wrong century. So sit with that the next time your hand is in the bag. That pull you feel is not gluttony. It is not a lack of discipline you should be ashamed of. It is one of the oldest and most honest signals your body owns. A voice that once meant the difference between living and dying, still calling out with the same urgency in a world that finally, endlessly says yes. Your ancestors would have wept with relief to feel this easy. The problem was never that you craved salt. The problem is that, for the first time in the human story, nothing is stopping you. You do not need to hate the craving. You do not need to fight your own body like an enemy. You only need to understand it, to see the 2 million years of hunger standing behind a simple bag of chips, and to know that the wanting is not a defect, it is an inheritance. So the next time you catch yourself reaching for more salt than you meant to, and that small voice asks what is wrong with you, you can finally answer it honestly. Nothing is wrong with you. You are just a warm, salty sea, still refilling itself, exactly as it was taught to, in a world that forgot how much that used to cost.